I want to welcome you to Zoom at Avila University. My name is Dr. Andy Jett. I am the Dean of the College of Professional Schools. Here at Avila University, I'm also the Director and Student Advisor for our Master of Science in Organizational Development program. Tonight, we are focused on careers in organizational development, and we have brought together 6 panelists who have all received their MSO degrees from Avila University. And we're going to talk about how they've built their successful careers in OD from what they learned in the program. We know that there are people on the call who are just thinking about entering the OD field. Some of you are already in the OD field and looking to improve your opportunities. And we also have others that have been in the OD field and even through the program and are just looking for opportunities for insights and advice on the OD field as it is today. Our facilitator and panelists will discuss their career journeys and how the MSOD program in the OD industry has impacted them personally and professionally. And as a reminder, as you may have noticed already, we are recording this session. We ask those of you listening in to maintain mute until we have our Q&A session later on tonight. If you have questions, put those questions in the chat box, and I will bring those questions forward as we have our Q&A session time, or I can answer them directly if it's something I can address. So let me start with a few introductions. I want to first introduce Dr. Brianne Branch. Currently, Brianne is the Director of Research and Organization Change for Culture, Journey, and Critical Social Justice Project, a consulting firm based in Kansas City. She works with government, corporate, education, and community organizations to provide evidence-based transformative change solutions for diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility. She also leads their research team and assists organizations with professional development, coaching, and capacity building. Dr. Branch earned her MSOD from Avila in 2014 and then completed her PhD in educational leadership from UMKC in 2020. Our next panelist is Payne. Marie is a senior organizational development consultant and executive leadership coach at Children's Mercy Hospital here in Kansas City. Marie is a certified change management practitioner and holds 2 leadership coaching certifications from UC Berkeley and the Kansas Leadership Center, as well as an ACC credential from ICF. She has also taught leadership coaching as the OD intervention at Avila University, and Marie earned her MSO degree from Avila in 2018. Next is Sharon Purnell. Sharon is the Chief Human Resources Officer at Streamland Media. Previously, she has worked as an HR executive for companies like Verdi Associates, Rydell, and UL Corporation. Sharon earned her MSOD from Avila in 2008. Next is Brandy Riggs. Brandy is a Vice President of Human Resources at McCownGordon Construction. Brandy has worked as an HR professional and executive at UGA Finance and Spencer Reed. Recently, Brandy was awarded the 2021 LEAD Award by the Missouri SHRM chapter. Brandy is also a member of the Avila University MSOD Advisory Board, and Brandy earned her Avila MSOD in 2006. Next is Monica Curls. Monica is the Manager of Government Compliance for Terracon, an engineering company based out of Olathe. Prior to joining Terracon, Ms. Curls worked for Black & Veatch and also served as Director of the Kansas City branch office for the Missouri Secretary of State's office. Monica earned her MSOD and Masters of Management degree from Avila in 2015. And last but not least is Brent Brazell. Brent is currently the Director of Learning and Organizational Development at Presbyterian Healthcare Services in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Previous to this role, he has been an HR and learning development executive at several large healthcare corporations. Brent earned his MSOD degree from Avila in 2008. So before we get started, I wanted to quickly do a quick poll for those attending. Let me launch that real quick, if you don't mind answering those questions for everyone. This gives us a sense of who is on the call with us and who we'll be talking to this evening. As you're doing that, I want to introduce our facilitator for this evening is Marquita Stanton. Marquita is the lead faculty member for the Avila MSOD program and has been long been a leader in organizational development and we were grateful to have her here as one of our professional practitioners in the program. I will let her do more of a full introduction of herself here in just a moment. Marquita, are you prepared to begin the process?
I am prepared. Yes, thank you. Greetings, everyone. I'm happy to see the panelists and everyone who is connected with us. One of the things I will say to the panelists, you know how I have, OCD over time. So when you are answering the questions, which are really some great questions, please be sure that you stop after your time, okay? But this will come as no surprise to any of the panelists, right? So it's really good to see you all, and thank you so much for participating with us. And to all of the guests, I hope that your questions are answered in full, and I think you've got a great group who will give you the answers you are looking for. So we're going to start off with question number 1, which is, Brianne, starting with Brianne, Dr. Branch, would you please take us on a brief journey of your career path? And that is 5 minutes max. Now, don't feel like you have to go a full 5 minutes.
Okay, I was like, that's a long time. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just the maximum amount of time.
I'm sorry, repeat the question one more time.
Sure. Would you please take us on a brief journey of your career path? That is particularly from when you started your MSOD program up to where you are now.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the question. I'm so honored to be here with the panelists and with the program members and the dean of the school. So thank you so much. As I think I was one of the youngest people in my class, I was just like, felt super inadequate. Like, I don't think I should be in grad school. I'm only 23 years old. But I was in an organization where I was miserable. I didn't like it. It was not for me. And so I entered the program because school was familiar to me. I just graduated from Howard University. I moved from California to the middle of the country, and getting in a program, it seemed like this program like this seemed like all my natural abilities and talents kind of came together. So while I was in that job I did not like, I did most of my program, but I finished it in a job that turned my career. And so I became like an office assistant at University of Missouri, Kansas City in the School of Education. And I was in a special department where although I was an office assistant, I was cultivated by professors, and they're like, "You're really smart. Why are you in this role?" I'm like, "Because my last job was horrible." And so they're like, "You just finished your master's, you need to get a PhD program." I'm like, okay. So I was really encouraged to kind of like push all my fears aside and go for what I wanted to do. And to me, a lot of times I don't know what I want to do, but I'll pick something and do it to the fullest. And so I was fortunate because I worked there. I was able to get my tuition paid for, and I got into starting my PhD program 5 years after I finished it in 2020. That helped me get to my next position, which was at UCLA in the School of Engineering. And there's a new program called Women in Engineering. And I was able to lead their diversity program because there's not a lot of women in engineering. It's certainly not a lot of women of color in engineering. So we did a lot of new trainings, probably basic trainings in diversity, as far as like implicit bias and things like that, as far as gender. But when everything happened with the murder of George Floyd, we were able to be brave and to bridge to doing racial diversity. And so I started some programs there. Due to the pandemic, I did move and I did not want to commute. So I left that position and I was recruited to work for a small consulting firm in Kansas City, who was started by a good friend of mine who used to work for me in that office assistant job. And she is now the president of this company, and she hired me as the director. And so I am super fortunate, I am super blessed, and everything has really come in a full circle. And And because of the MSOD program and this degree is why she hired me in this role, because she has expertise. People in her team have expertise in counseling, in mental health, in equity and diversity. And I have that too, but she specifically hired me for organization development, which is literally where I am physically now at a client site. We're having a healing session right now with some leaders in Oregon government. And so we're trying to help their diversity team kind of come together after a breakdown. And so she specifically hired me to do the OD work on this part of this team. My background is qualitative research and education leadership. And so I lead the research team as well. But as far as the OD part of it, that's literally why I'm in this role now. I'm able to work from home and I get to travel, and it's been such a blessing. So I think I did it in 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brianne. Marie, the same question. Would you please take us on a brief journey of your career path? 5 minutes max.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Like Dr. Jett said, my name is Marie Payne. I'm a senior organizational development practitioner at Children's Mercy, and I'm also an executive coach there. So Marquita, your question was my career path since going through the MSOD program, but that's been a pretty short path for me since I just graduated in 2018. But I'm currently, like I said, I'm working at Children's Mercy as an OD practitioner. I'm actually joined on this call by one of my partners, Kristen Stein. We both currently work for medical administration. So we are the first 2 individuals in our organization who are trialing a decentralized approach to OD work. Her and I are both embedded within the portion of the organization that we support. So we support our physician-in-chief and our physicians enterprise and our ambulatory practices, and just doing OD work there rather than housed in the HR department like we were prior. So it's an experiment. We're learning a lot, and it's been successful so far. We started that in August. Prior to that, though, I was a respiratory therapist. I was a respiratory therapist for 10 years. So I have a bachelor's degree from KU in that. And I told myself, you know, as soon as my youngest child started sleeping through the night, that I was going to go back to school. My career in respiratory grew. I held various titles, did different responsibilities, but I learned really early on that I not only had love for caring for patients and families, but I also had a passion for serving our employees. And so through my 10 years in the RT department, I was getting to try on new responsibilities and roles where I was getting to practice that, whether it be through learning and development and coaching. And so when my little guy started sleeping through the night, I literally did a Google search. What could I do to go back to school, to get a master's degree, to be able to still work within the organization that I love, serving the patients and the families that I love, but also being able to have that macro level perspective, learn about the organization from a whole new perspective, but still serving our employees. And so Google brought me to organizational development, and turns out my company had a department to do that. So I was able to connect with some mentors. I was able to do some career shadowing, and I decided, you know what, this is for me. And one thing that was awesome about Avila was that I could enroll literally in like 2 weeks and get started. And so I just really rolled right into it, not really 100% certain what I was going to do or what I was going to do with it. And here I am now with a profession, and I've been in this position for about 4 years now, and I'm loving every minute of it. So I think that's me and how I got here.
Okay. Thank you, Marie. Okay, Sharon, let us hear from you. The same question. Please take us on a brief journey of your career path.
Sure. So hi, everybody. Again, thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm super excited to be here. I am Sharon Purnell, and I am currently the Chief Human Resources Officer at Streamland Media. And what has brought me to where I am today? So, gosh, when I was in the OD program, you know, I think what really kind of resonated with me is really understanding the why of how people get to where they are, right? That I think a lot of times my background was in, just human resources and really, adhering to the, the labor laws and the employment law. But the organizational development program really allowed me to understand a little bit of the why people were the way that they were. So it wasn't always so black and white. And I think that since I graduated, I moved into different roles. I relocated out to Phoenix. I was at Honeywell Aerospace and was in some progressive roles there. Relocated out to Atlanta, and I was in a role with Underwriters Laboratories as nature director there. And then I was the head of HR at a company called Riddell Sports. And I think that for me, what I really feel is a key differentiator for me that's kind of progressed me through my career was that not only do I have the ability to be tactical on the HR side, but I'm really able to be more of the strategic partner as well, to kind of flex between those. And I think that's what a lot of my business leaders really appreciate about my approach, is that I look for solutions. So I look for abilities to, okay, you want to get here, and there's like 6 different ways to get there. Let's find the best approach for your organization. And I learned all of that from the OD program, of really understanding how to do an intervention, how to really sit down and create that contract with them. Where do they want to go? How do they want to get there? And it's not a one size fits all. It's really listening to the needs of the business and partnering with your business leaders and creating that that source for them. And I learned all of that from Marquita and the program. So.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Brandy, you are next. Would
Yes.
you please share with us your journey?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. And I'm also so honored to be here with this group. My journey has definitely not been a straight path. It's been full of twists and turns. While I was in the OD program at Avila, I was actually in a sales leadership role, and I truly loved what I was doing. I was able to apply many of the concepts from the OD program to the day-to-day leadership of my team, and then to the challenges that we face daily with our clients. But along that road, I learned that it really wasn't the love of sales that drove me in my career. It really was the people leadership and the training aspect of it and the problem solving. And so I took a step back to really think about what was going to be important for me in my career. And I identified really that my calling was truly on the people side of the business. And I learned so much about that as part of the MSOD program. So at that point, I explored various options and ended up taking an opportunity in executive recruiting, which for me was a perfect bridge from my sales experience into the world of human resources. And after spending a little bit over a year doing that, because of the MSOD program, I was able to take my HR certification exam, passed, and accepted my first HR role. At that time, I was in an HR department of 1 for a financial services company. And during that time there, I joined the board for the Society for Human Resources, our local chapter. And that's where ultimately I met my current leader. Her and I were always exchanging notes and learning from one another. But at that point, I had spent my entire HR career working alone, and I knew I had a lot to learn. And so eventually she recruited me to her team here at McCownGordon Construction. And that's where I've had an opportunity to learn and grow every day since then. And I echo, what Sharon said. It's really, the MSOD program has helped me to be a true strategic business partner to our organization, and really focus on, the problems that our business faces, and the solution to those problems are people. And so I really can use the interventions, the strategic thinking models that the MSOD program provided me. And I should step back and say I probably annoyed the team at Avila that was putting together the MSOD program, because when all of that was in the works for the first time, I was finishing up my undergraduate degree and caught wind that Avila was looking at creating this program. And I really needed it to be ready for when I graduated with my undergrad degree. So about, I guess, 7 to 6 months out, I started calling the department every month and saying, when is this program getting off the ground? Is it going to be done by the time I'm ready? And sure enough, it was. So it was perfect timing. And we're just so grateful to everyone that was involved in putting the program in place, including Marquita.
Thank you, Brandy. Monica Curls, let us hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate. I feel very humbled to be amongst all of you. So my name is Monica Curls. My career journey was definitely different in that I didn't come into the OD program till I was already 18 years out from graduating from undergrad. So I wasn't even really thinking about going for a master's degree program, but I was actually at Marquita's birthday party that year, and she was talking about organizational development psychology, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. What do you do again? And so she got me interested, and she was like, well, just take the one class, and then if you do well there, because I was very paranoid about going back to school. I mean, I had barely graduated from undergrad, and so did not know if I was going to have the focus in order to start that late back into an education program. And I ended up graduating actually with 2 degrees. I got my MSOD and I got a master's in arts in management with an emphasis in project management. So I got to walk across the stage with 2 degrees. So I definitely was able to get back into the idea of learning. So definitely appreciate Marquita for that. What I've done since then is I actually got a new job, I guess like 2 months after I got my degree. And I think the way I was able to talk as it related to OD was what helped to seal the position for me. Like I said, I'm a manager of government compliance for an engineering firm. And I think the fact that this was a new position for the organization, and so there wasn't anyone else who had been in that role, and I was really going to have to be developing a department. And so as I was, when they were asking me about what kind of strategies would you use, and I was really focusing on, how important it is to bring people along, especially in an engineering field that can get very technical. And even now, so often I'm the only one in the room reminding people, this is a culture shift. We need to think about how this affects our employees. How does this affect the people around? And so I'm always the one kind of remembering that. And, just the other day, I was in a performance discussion with my boss, and she was like, I really like how you talk about that. And you always are the one that remembers that people are involved. And I was like, yeah, that's what I've learned from my OD journey. So that's definitely what I've gotten from that experience, but especially just continuing my love of learning. And so I've just recently got a certificate in diversity and inclusion from Cornell University, their online program. I couldn't quite get my money together for Avila's program yet, but that'll come next. But yeah, just continuing to always look for opportunities to grow and develop. And so I think that's definitely been my journey since getting my degree.
Oh, wonderful, Monica. I taught in Cornell's program.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Years ago. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Brent, let us hear from you.
Oh gosh, thank you, Marquita. And I think this is so nice to be here with some people that I have a lot of affection for that I haven't seen for a while. Some of you I've seen more recently, but I'm really glad to be here. As other people have said, it's such an honor. For me, even in my undergraduate, I graduated, I won't tell you what year because it'll date me, but I graduated from my undergraduate with a degree in psychology and sociology, but I had a minor in industrial psychology, which was, kind of OD. And I had a passion for it. And I always wanted to go and get a degree in either industrial psychology or organizational development. However, after I graduated from my undergraduate, I moved back to Kansas City, and there, family issues and those kinds of things. I couldn't leave. There was not a program in Kansas City. If you can imagine that, there wasn't a program to go get your degree in organizational development. So I got my first master's in social work, which has benefited me more than I can say. But I started work in mental health, and I worked, and I get to talk to people who probably know what this means. I worked at treatment medical centers for forever, and was in the behavioral health program there. And then somewhere down the line, somebody I do remember the event. We brought in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is going to date me too. And I got to engage with HR folks, and HR said, "Hey, why don't you come over and work for us and train? You really do this well." And I said, "Sure, let's do that." Because if you all know me, if there's a door that opens, I'm walking through it, because you never know what's going to happen. And so I did. And then, but I quickly learned, I'm like, boy, I'm kind of over my head with this HR stuff. I don't know systems. I don't know, organization theory, that kind of thing. And I remember, gosh, I wish I would have gone and gotten my degree in OD when I had the opportunity. And then I'm driving home one day, and all these things date me, Marquita. I was taking the CD out of my player in my car, and the radio came on, and there was, "Hey, come learn about the OD program at Avila." And I was like, many of you, I said, "Sign me up. I'm ready to go." It was like, I think I think Brandy and Sharon and I were like one of the first 30 people in the program, yeah. I think. And it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. The first session, it was an informational session. It was a weekend session, was with Marquita. And she ignited a passion in me about this work. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to sign up, and I'm going to, take on a lot more debt to get a second master's degree. But I'm so glad I did, because I would not have been where I'm at. I've had the opportunity to work in healthcare for, a long time. Actually, it's my 30th year. And I keep telling people that this year, because I've been around. And, when I tell people like why we need to do change management and why we need to think about the people, I'm like, I've been around for 30 years in healthcare. And I've seen so many initiatives come and go. And I believe that we have the ability, based on applying what I've learned in this program, to make a difference, and not have this just be another initiative that just came and went and didn't do what it needed to do for the organization or for our patients. So I've had a few forays into other industries.
Uh-oh. Is everybody else still there? Okay.
Yes, I think you
Yeah, I was wondering if I were the only one who froze or had everyone freeze. Brent, can you hear us?
Uh-oh. He'll come back.
Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting for Brent to come back, and when he does come back, then we will just go back to let him finish in order to try and stay on the aggressive agenda. I'm going to go ahead to the next question. And then, like I said, we'll let Brent finish when he returns with us. So the first question, the second question for Brianne Branch, we're starting with you, Dr. Branch. What did you learn in your MSOD program that most impacted your personal and professional life? So that's what you learned in the OD program that most impacted your personal and professional life.
Well, I think Brent is back.
Okay, Brent, do you want to
I'll let him go.
Yeah, sorry. I this is the dangers of working remotely and talking to people remotely. So apologize if my service cut out for a minute. But I would just say, I have a passion for working in healthcare. I don't get excited about working anywhere else. And that's my timer. Sorry, I'm done, Marquita. I was actually timing myself. I took it seriously. So, but I have a passion for healthcare, and I'm so glad that I could get to continue to work. And now I get to work with a team of OD people that are so fabulous and remind me of so much of the people that I had in the program. And it's a really great team I have right now. So glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Sorry that you got disconnected. Brianne,
yeah, sorry about that.
Do you need for me to
Yes.
repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
So one class, or I don't know if it was an entire class, but it's just a feeling, it's something I remembered is with you, Miss Marquita, in your class. And I never encountered diversity work ever. I'm a Black person, I'm a Black woman. I took a sociology class in 12th grade and we learned about society, but I never learned about like diversity. And we did the privilege walk exercise and it was just like eye-opening. And I was like, what? Like, it just made everything so clear, just about like racial disparities and gender disparities. And I think I wrote a whole dissertation on African-American millennials, female millennials. So it's like from that, we did generation work. I have a whole chapter on generations in the workplace. That's all from like your class and the books you read. Like, so that like privilege walk exercise was literally a match to my entire personal like growth and professional growth in diversity work. And it's just been like a blessing to just think back on this, like that question. I'm like, oh my God, that's what happened. And I remember taking that step or not taking that step and just feeling like the impact of like looking at my peers' faces and just filling in the room and how you facilitated that energy. And then we debriefed the exercise and literally I do that. This is what I do now. And it's just full circle like that, that I am the one now in the master seat and doing the things that we did in class. And so I'm eternally grateful for that experience.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that, Brianne. Marie, the same question. What did you learn in your MSOD program that most impacted your personal and professional life?
I think the most impactful thing from the program was probably learning about the power of connection. And that would be with my classmates that have now become peers. Some of them are colleagues that I work with, but even those who have gone on to careers in other organizations, I call on them regularly. We do, think tank exercises. We share best practices. What are we doing in our organization? What are you trying in their organizations? I've learned, continuing to learn through those individuals, but also the connection that I had with some of the faculty members. So like Dr. Branch, I was going to share a story that I had an experience with Dr. Stanton. So I told you guys that I was, I was a respiratory therapist as I was going through this program and wasn't really sure what I was going to do with this degree yet. Right before I graduated in August, I believe, and it was February of that year. So I hadn't even done my practicum yet, and a position opened in my organization in organizational development. And, I was like, I'm going to apply. I'm going to see if I can get this. And I remember not having a whole lot of confidence. And I shared with Marquita that I was applying. And she's like, come on in, come to my office, and we're going to do a practice interview. And so I came to Marquita's office and she did a test interview with me. And I will never forget, she asked the question of what experience do you have that prepares you for this position? And I said, well, I don't have any experience in organizational development. And I, started to continue on with my answer. And she stopped me and coached me in that moment of how to answer and how I did have the experience and how so much of what I've done in my previous career or profession was transferable and was just additive to what I was learning in this program. I went into that interview, I nailed it, I got the job. And in part, I think a great part to Marquita helping me prepare for that interview. So honestly, I think the connections that you make are one of the most impactful things that I have been gifted with by going through this program.
Thank you, Marie. And to those of you who are listening and wondering why we have this question in here, it's because this is a critical part of the program, your personal and professional growth. And listening to this esteemed group of panelists, hopefully will encourage you and have you thinking about just an added reason to either stick with the program or to join the program. Thank you, Marie. Sharon, same question. What did you learn in your MSOD program that most impacted your personal and professional life?
Sure. So I think for me, you know, outside of the relationships that I built, and because I really do feel like I really built a friendship family, right? Going through this program. I mean, we're so connected. I mean, I think Brent, we spent so many evenings, like till midnight sometimes, going through all of the stuff, right? But you know, I think there's a couple of things. One is it really does help you recognize all the different paths of work and how it's all connected through organizational development, and we can all have little pieces and pockets that come to the table. But I think really the thing that kind of resonates with me the most is thinking back to learning about the Johari window, right? And if you really think about the Johari window and that black box on the bottom, what you don't know and what other people don't know, right? And it's really focusing on, in organizational development, that we are lifelong learners, and it's constantly bringing light to that black box of constantly continuing to learn what you don't know about yourself, ask questions, ask of others, what can I do differently? How can I, you know, come to this situation differently and continue to learn? And I think that has been the most impactful for me. Every single you know, opportunity or position that I go to, that's what I always go with. Like, what do I know about myself? What do I know and others know? What do I not know that others do? And what is that black box, and how do I continue to bring light to it? And I think that's been the most, both professionally and personally, that's really helped me through this program.
Great, thank you, Sharon. Brandy, same question.
Yes. So like everything everyone's talking about is just taking me back through all these great memories from the program. I think the most impactful part of the program for me was truly the exposure to the OD practitioners that were facilitating the program. And Marquita, you were absolutely one of those key ingredients. I can remember just listening, you know, we would be going through an exercise or talking about a concept, and they would just bring our textbooks to life. I remember thinking over and over, wow, I hadn't thought about something in the way that they did. And I intentionally use the word facilitators because they were, you know, they weren't up there just, you know, teaching. They were facilitating this process of us, you know, learning from each other, learning the concepts and from them. And I think, you know, from a competency standpoint, things that I use every single day are really, you know, the systemic thinking that I learned a lot about through the program, which, you know, really helps me to solve complex problems by understanding, you know, relationships that exist in systems and how they interact. And then the change management piece. You know, we all work in environments which have to adapt quickly and constantly in order to be successful. And just being able to manage through change effectively is critical in organizational success. And to manage through that change, you really have to understand people. And I feel like those are really the key takeaways that I took from the program.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. Monica, same question.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I got out of the program was the fact that I could go back to school. Like I said, I was really nervous about, you know, the commitment that was involved, and would I be able to read everything that I had to read that week, and you know, and just getting back involved in a program with content that I was really interested in, I think was, you know, just so important, obviously. And then just, you know, with each class, it just continued to build my confidence. And I think a lot of times, you know, people always would say, you know, it's easy if you just go, you know, from your undergrad, go right into grad school. You know, that's going to be the easiest path. Don't wait. And the fact that I had waited 18 years between that, you know, was why I was so nervous about it. But I think the professors were wonderful and very engaging. The content was very engaging and so necessary. Like everything I was doing, I just saw it kind of helps you see how everything around you is broken because once you start learning these concepts, and particularly at the time I was going through the program, I was at a different engineering company, and there were so many instances in the projects that I was working with where I saw the dysfunction, and it was just like, I see exactly where it went wrong. It's like, okay, we weren't focused on the people. We were so focused on let's build this and let's engineer this that we forgot to take into account the engineers themselves and the things that they were going through. And I just kept always thinking about if I were in control of things, this is how I would do things differently. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And also just taking those concepts into places other than those that are specifically designed for organizational development. I think, yes, it's very easy, not very easy, I shouldn't say that, but, there are people who've gotten it, and they, those are the organizations that have, OD departments or organizational effectiveness programs, but there's still a lot of places, whether it's your church or your membership organization that can still utilize those same concepts, and they just haven't really thought about them in that context. And so I think that's the other thing that, I've just really learned that these are those skills that I've learned related to the organizational development psychology are things that I'm finding that I'm using, or at least using to analyze situations all the time.
Okay. Brent. Oh, you've moved over to my right. Brent, what did you learn in your MSOD program that most impacted your personal and professional life? Thank you so much, Monica. Okay, Brent.
Yeah, hi, and I'm having I just got a message I have an unstable internet connection, so I don't know what that means exactly, so hopefully I'll stay with you. I had to pick just one. I struggle with that because I learned so much, but I'll quickly tell you two. One is the use of self in your work. Marquita is a big proponent of that. And I remember one night, it was a night class, and there were some of you that were there, and we went through this activity where we were talking about ourselves and how we could bring things to people. And being a gay man, I'm like, I don't know these people. I'm not telling them about this. Not going to share this. Whatever that woman, Marquita, whatever she'd know, I'm not doing it, because I was not at a comfortable place for myself. And I don't know, Marquita and Sharon, if you remember that night, but I mean, it was just the most incredibly moving when I finally, because Marquita knew, and she was like, you need to use this. You need to be able to use this in your work. So kept encouraging. I'm like, okay, finally.
That night.
Sorry?
I don't think we had enough tissues that night. I do remember it.
Yeah, and I finally did. And the importance of using yourself and understanding where you are. I think it was after we had done the diversity walk and understanding where you are in that. And then I guess the other thing too that I always remember, and I think this is in life and in my work, that Marquita used to talk about, there's always a big I and a little I. You guys remember this? That there's the big I, which.
Okay, while we're.
Intervention you plan, and then there's a little I. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay, so the little I is all the other stuff that comes along that you don't plan for, but you better pay attention to. And Marquita used to do this very dramatic. There's a big I and there's a little I, and the little I always trumps the big I. And I think about that all the time when I'm leading interventions. I think, what's the little I here that I'm missing? And almost 20 years later, I tell you all, I think about that. And it's so important to think about that because there's so much going on that you need to know. So those are my two, but I could go on for a while, but I'm not going to.
Actually, can you repeat the big I, because you were frozen when you were talking?
Oh, sorry. So the big I is the intervention that you plan, right? And the little I is the one that everything else that's happening that really, intercepts that big I. And the little I stuff is more important than the big I. And pay attention and process. And I tell people, and I coach people that all Marquita knows this, but I coach my people that report to me all the time on this now, that you need to pay attention to what's happening, because people will just barrel through, right, and do what they plan, but you need to pay attention. And that's in life too. The things we plan sometimes don't work out, and you have to plan for what's going on with the little I and how it's impacting you.
So just since you brought us here, Brent, the little I is the here and now. So you may even be collecting data, from a client and
Yeah.
something comes up and there's a coaching moment in the here and now. Great job, Brent. So I think most of you have pretty much touched on the third answer. So it's, would you please tell the attendees what is most fulfilling about your career in organization development? But because I know there's a bigger question for the attendees, many of them are wanting to know, okay, how do I go out and get employed as an OD practitioner? How do I get involved in the work of OD? And when I am working with students in the classroom, I will tell them not necessarily do you have to wait for the big moment of somebody searching you out or you're applying, but how do you apply what you are learning in the here and now in your organizations, be it training and development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So having said that, to the panelists, what would you say to people who are either considering the degree or are in the program working on the degree, and they are really wanting to get into the field of OD? Is that okay to change it up like that, Dr. Jett? Okay. Okay, so I think that's what people want to hear and know about from you. And you certainly have pathed out different routes and have been doing the work, even if that is not your title right now. You have figured it out and you're the best ones to let people know. So let's keep it down to less than 5 minutes per person so that we can get in there and answer the questions.
I'll go first and I'll be less than 5 minutes. I'm called to a scripture of being ready in season and out of season. So that's the way I'm going with this. Basically, I had no idea what I was going to do with my degree. I got into this degree program as an exit to get out of something else. And what I fell into was a whole world of opportunities. And so although I had a title like organization development, not organization development, but office assistant, I had all the workings and all the knowledge and how I ran that department and how you have formal leaders and informal leaders. We learned about that. I was definitely an informal leader. And my very next job catapulted me to UCLA Associate Director. So it's not necessarily about, like Marquita was saying, the title, the job. It's doing what you're applying what you know. So the program is super, super important. And also a lot of people don't really know what organization development is or like change management or anything like that. And so you are seen as an expert. And so you learn all you can, and then you'll be tapped at some point, or there'll be opportunity at some point where you can, show all your expertise and all your skills and all your knowledge. Just like Marie was saying, how Marquita helped her to adjust her language to say I do have this. And then she said it and they believed her, she got the job. That's literally how it happens. It's really about you mastering the knowledge and practicing it where you are. And then also, the next level, being in those positions that may have the titles or have the job roles, but it's really about the mastery of knowledge. People will also look at you as the expert, and then you have to own it. And that's what I'm learning in this role that I have now. I have, come far, but I have a lot more to go. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Brianne. Marie.
Yeah, I would, back to what I said earlier, I'd say connection. There are various networking groups. If you're in the KC metro area, there's the Kansas City OD network, where there's great opportunities to connect with other people in the metro area who are working in this profession or similar professions. There's also, since I'm a coach, I connect with various different networks in the coaching realm, some that are international. and then some that are local. We have a Heartland chapter here for the ICF for coaching. And there's great opportunities there to just meet and learn. And you never know. Sometimes in one of those sessions, someone says, hey, I'm hiring for X. And you're like, oh, me. So it's just a great opportunity to hear about possibilities. And then I would say from there is practice self-advocacy, toot your own horn some. Toot your own horn some is what I tried to say. Be proud of your accomplishments and celebrate them. No one's going to celebrate you more than you should celebrate yourself. So you got to be out there and selling yourself. And then confidence. If you could think about my interview experience, have some confidence because you have the experience. What you're learning in this program and what you'll do in the workplace is really not highly specialized in any one area. It's the understanding of people and how we go through transitions, and that you can learn and apply anywhere. So have some confidence. You're more able than you probably give yourself credit.
Okay. Sharon?
Oh gosh, really to echo what everybody has said, I think it really does come with the confidence of knowing what you know, right? And I think too, I don't know where all of the attendees, the roles that they're currently in, but organizational development doesn't have to mean that you are in an organizational development role, right? I think that even in a business role or in a finance role or whatever it might be, there's a lot of opportunities for organizational development. And now that you have that hat on, is to really identify those and then create the solution and say, hey, I've now been in these meetings. This is what I've heard. I'd like to present maybe this solution. Would you allow me to do it? And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's a free resource that the company is going to say, yes, please go do it. Right. And I also think one of the things perhaps when I was in the program is when I was going through my practicum and we had to go and actually do an intervention at an organization, I was scared out of my mind to ask anybody, like, can I come and do this for you? But I think now kind of being on the other end, I think, organizations who perhaps don't have the funding sometimes to go and hire this mega consultant to come in and do this, they would be welcomed for you to come and say, hey, I'd really like to do this and try it out. So I think the more experience you get and the more confidence, back to what Marie was saying, it all just sort of, lines up and it creates that opportunity for you.
Thank you, Sharon. Brandy?
Yes, I'm not sure if I have a lot more to add, but I mean, organizational development exists everywhere in business. There's a need, there is constant change happening. It's happening faster and faster all the time. And so even though you may not have the OD title, like the other panelists have been talking about, as a business leader, as a business contributor, you have an opportunity to identify things that need some effective change management and can insert yourself and help find solutions for your company in whatever role that you're in. And we're lucky in this profession that there are more and more OD professional opportunities being added all the time. Businesses are understanding that this is key. Thinking back to when I graduated, like Brent mentioned, we couldn't find an OD program. We were like kind of looking at industrial psychology stuff, and to find, Avila was, I think, the first program in Kansas City to provide that. So when we graduated, there weren't a lot of positions here locally with an OD title. So, and unless you were going to go out and, be a consultant on your own. So it was just finding those opportunities, within businesses to be doing the OD work without the title. So I would say that's what I would recommend. And to everyone's point, relationships and connections are key. And just the more people that the more likely you are to find that opportunity.
Yes, that networking is so critical. Thank you, Brandy. Monica?
Once again, everybody has pretty much said most of what there is to say. I mean, I would just definitely echo looking for those opportunities to make a contribution within the organizations you're already in, even if you're not in that OD role. I mean, that was something I kind of, I told my boss, hey, I got this OD degree, and, this is what it's about, and this is what, how can I use this to help Terracon be better? And so she became my advocate, and you know, we have different committees that are looking, and actually now we have a department that does, they call it Idea Lab. And so, you know, they bring together people to solve a problem. And so, you know, they even now the Idea Lab professionals will come to me and ask questions or have me be on their different programs or projects, even if they're not directly related to something that is in my wheelhouse. Because they kind of understand where that's coming from. But like, even when I talked to them about, you know, what organizational development meant, they were like, oh, wait, I haven't heard about that. And I was like, okay, well, let me talk to you about what OD means and how this really needs to be part of what you guys are doing in the Idea Lab. Because once again, they're taking it from an engineering perspective. And it's like, no, these are culture shifts. These are people, you know, you're forgetting the people element of this solution. And so, yeah, so I mean, just finding places where they're not thinking about OD where they need to be, and just looking for opportunities, you know, not always being so focused on, I must be an OD practitioner. Don't just look for that title, because any title is going to have some element of change, and you're going to be in the best position to help with that.
Great, thank you, Monica. Brent.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what
Anything
Monica.
left?
There is something left, I think. And I think I'm going to echo what Monica said. And I'm going to say this, and hopefully, you know, Marquita, you won't slap me the next time you see me. But, you know, I think we're better off than we used to be. But just understand that most people, when you say organizational development to them, they don't know what that means. And so you don't have to be in a role that is titled that. And you can influence change. You can do what you're learning. But here's the thing I want to make the connection on. Think about how you present that on your resume. If you are thinking about when you do get that connection, you do get an interview for an actual organization development position, think about how, take notes and keep track of all this stuff, because you'll forget that you did this in this position and it really caused, you know, something great to happen for your organization. And then I guess, you know, just don't ever quit. I tell my team that all the time, that, you know, continue to present these issues. And I've been telling my team that here in Albuquerque for 2 years, that I'll say that to you too, continue to do the good work. Because, you know, now after 2 years, we have the chief medical officer banging down our door. We have the chief operating officer banging down our door. We have, you know, we don't have the CEO yet, but we're going to get him next. So, you know, just always be considering what you're doing and using, and then think about, how do I translate that so I can get the job I want? So that'd be what I would say about it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all so much. I am just sitting here, of course, hearing and learning from you as always. You are definitely a group that I have and will continue to admire and respect. And at this time, with 2 minutes left, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jett.
Well, thank you, Marquita, and thank you, panelists. It's been a great conversation to hear about all of your experiences. One of the questions that came across on the chat was talking about the fact that today is First Generation Celebration Day. So the question is, do any of our panelists identify themselves as first generation college students when they were going through their programs? So Sharon and Brandy. So I think that's just an importance for those students out there that might be, you know, always concerned about not having had a college experience, especially at a graduate level. There's plenty of programs like Avila's that can support you, as there's always interesting challenges for students who don't have those support systems as those who have come from a family and has gone through a university setting. Well, that was really the only other question. There was a question about what the program's about as far as length and time, and I'll talk a little bit about that toward the end. But in the last couple of minutes, do any of the panelists have any other ending comments or anything else that wasn't shared that you'd like to share with the folks that are listening in? All right, well, I'm going to turn it over to our coordinator of career services. Shauna, would you want to jump in and talk a little bit about career services at Avila?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Shauna Pena Downing. I was a 2012 Avila alumni, and now I am back at Avila as the Career Services Coordinator. This position is kind of brand new. Career Services wasn't a very strong department at Avila, even while I was there. And thankfully, we were able to get a grant and actually hire someone to fill that role. And I'm so happy to be that person to fill that role. What that means is there is a person that supports you, someone that will provide resources, and someone that can help build portfolios and help guide you into a direction that you're looking for. We can set goals, we can build our networks. There will be events and workshops to attend. This is up and coming, so everything's going to be fresh and new within the year, since I've only been in this position 6 months. But we also keep up with what's currently happening in the work field and in our career field. A lot of things are shifting and changing. Conversations are happening that haven't happened before in maybe even the last 2 to 3 years. So we definitely put that into account when someone comes into the office looking for either a help getting into a career or help changing a career, our transitional time, our pivoting space. And then we are always available, and not on the weekends, but what I mean is during the school year, we are available by phone, email, and walk-in. We are also available by scheduling an appointment. So I encourage anyone and everyone, no matter where you are at in your life journey, your career journey, to come and chat. I'm a people person, and I love just getting to know people and helping them ask questions and challenge themselves and work smarter and not harder.
Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We're very excited to have Shauna on board, because we know adult students and graduate students need that support, and she's there to do that for us. I also wanted to share with everybody too, just in short, fast fact portion, I've attached a file out there on the chat for those attending, as you pull down those highlights of the MSOD program. The program is delivered in 8-week modules. We are doing everything online, but it's online through an asynchronous environment. So you do meet each week with your faculty members, so that you still have those connections and build that network. But we're trying to be cognizant of where we are at in 2021, and people needing to be able to be at home and be at work and be away, and trying to be competitive in that forum. We have some really strong concentrations within the MSOD program. Our strategic human resources concentration is approved by SHRM. And so we're excited about that relationship with SHRM. Our leadership coaching is one of the few certified through ICF. And so we're excited about all of the amazing students that come through our leadership coaching program. We have executive leadership development, workplace instructional design, inclusion and belonging, which is our new program, and we're really excited about how successful it's been in the short term here. We have psychology concentration that's new. And then we also have change management, which we're hoping to get it certified through ACMP soon. But we're always looking at making sure that whatever we're putting either in the core MSOD courses or into our concentrations, that we're tying it to what's going on in the workforce, what are those industry best practices, and making sure that when you do leave the program, you have the skills and knowledge to be really impactful, as many of the panelists talked about. You can make a difference regardless of industry, regardless of job title. These skills that you're learning in this program will help you be impactful in the work that you're doing. So I just appreciate everybody being here tonight. And I thank all of our panelists again for being here. You are amazing representations of the program that we have here. And I especially want to thank Marquita. She has beloved by all, and we're thanked her so much for being our facilitator this evening. For those of you attending, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn or email, or give me a call here at the university, and we can address whatever questions you might have. Thank you all very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.